Celeste Arden smiled as champagne ran down Mara Bell's navy uniform. "Get on your knees," the bride said, loud enough for every guest in the Valenti ballroom to hear. Mara had spent 11 years keeping that mansion safe, quiet, and standing. Luca Valenti had trusted her with every secret except the respect she deserved. Then, before the stain dried, the family's emerald heirloom vanished. A search order put Mara's name at the top of the list. But hidden inside the house ledger was one green ink mark that could prove the bride had planned everything. The question was not whether Mara could clear her name. It was whether she would save the man who had watched her humiliation in silence. And if that mark spoke the truth, the woman called the help would decide who belonged in the Valenti house forever. Mara Bell knew the exact second a room decided a woman did not belong in it. It was not when people stared. People stared at everyone in a mansion like the Valenti estate. It was when they stopped lowering their voices. The ballroom glittered with white roses, crystal chandeliers, and the kind of old money that made every surface shine without ever looking warm. Mara moved through it in her navy uniform, checking place cards, correcting a crooked candle, and quietly reminding the kitchen captain that Mrs. Valenti could not have shellfish near her plate. Nobody thanked her. That was normal. Her work was supposed to look effortless. If the night went well, the guests would believe the mansion had arranged itself. At the center of the room, Celeste Arden stood on a low platform in an ivory gown with a train long enough to cover a small stage. She was surrounded by stylists, bridesmaids, and 3 women from a society magazine who had been invited to photograph the final fitting. Luca Valenti stood near the tall windows in a black suit, speaking softly with his uncle and 2 men from the family council. He looked composed. He always did. But Mara had worked in the house long enough to know that the stillness in his shoulders meant exhaustion, not peace. Celeste turned when Mara approached with a tray of champagne for the guests. Her smile appeared first, never reached her eyes. "Mrs. Bell," she said. "Mara," Mara corrected gently. Celeste lifted one slim finger toward the hem of her dress. "This is dragging." Mara looked down. The satin was grazing the edge of the platform, but not because it was too long. Celeste had stepped backward onto it herself. "The seamstress will need to adjust it," Mara said. Celeste's smile tightened. "I did not ask for a seamstress." The room became quieter by degrees. Mara set the champagne tray on a nearby table. "Would you like me to call her?" "No." Celeste took a flute from the tray. Then she tipped it. Champagne ran across Mara's shoulder and down the front of her navy uniform. The cold wetness landed first. The silence came after. A bridesmaid covered her mouth. Someone near the windows gave a soft, shocked laugh and immediately pretended not to have done it. Celeste looked at the stain as if Mara had caused it. "Oh," she said. "How clumsy of you." Mara did not move. She could feel every eye in the ballroom waiting to see whether she would give Celeste the scene she wanted. Celeste glanced at the champagne pooling near the hem of her gown. "Get on your knees and clean that before it stains my dress." For one breath, Mara heard only the piano music drifting in from the terrace. Then she looked across the ballroom. Luca had stopped speaking. His dark eyes were on Celeste. Then they came to Mara. He did not smile. He did not approve. But he did not cross the room either. That was the wound, not the champagne, not the whispers. The choice to let silence do the work of cruelty. Mara picked up a white napkin from the floor. She knelt once, only long enough to blot the champagne away from the ivory satin. Then she stood. Her uniform was still wet. Her voice was not. "I have protected your dress," she said to Celeste. "I will not be spoken to that way again." Celeste's cheeks colored. "You are staff." "Yes," Mara said, "and I am very good at my job." She turned toward the service door. Luca said her name. Mara. She stopped, but she did not look back. "See to the guests," he said quietly. It was the wrong sentence. Maybe he understood that the moment it left his mouth. Maybe he saw her shoulders stiffen. But Mara only nodded once and walked out. In the service corridor, she washed champagne from her hands in a copper sink. Her reflection in the dark window looked tired, older than 38, and entirely finished with being useful to people who confused usefulness with permission. Not because Luca had asked, not because Celeste deserved the perfect wedding she was trying to build on someone else's humiliation, but because the Valenti estate did not run on spite. It ran on lists, timing, keys, and people who showed up. Mara had not written the final event sheet. Celeste had taken it from her desk that morning and announced that the wedding planner would handle everything from now on. She stood outside the pantry with a stack of revised place cards in one hand and watched the confusion spread. The kitchen captain came toward her, his face pale. "Mara, I need the revised seating chart." "It is in the red office folder," she said. Celeste moved the folder. "Then ask Celeste where she moved it." He stared at her. In 11 years, Mara had never said that. She always knew. She always fixed it. The housekeeper from the second floor hurried down the corridor next. "Mrs. Valenti is asking for you." Mara looked toward the ballroom, then toward the phone in her pocket. Boston was still waiting. "Tell her I will be there in 5 minutes," Mara said. The second-floor housekeeper nodded and ran. Mara took exactly 5 minutes, not 4, not 3. For the first time in years, she made the Valenti estate wait for her. When she entered the ballroom again, Luca was standing alone beside the window. The crowd had shifted toward the terrace, where Celeste was laughing too brightly with the magazine women. Luca's gaze went to the damp mark on Mara's uniform. "I should have stopped that," he said. Mara adjusted the cuff of her sleeve. "Yes," his jaw tightened. "I'm sorry. You are sorry because it was ugly. I'm sorry because I failed you." That was closer. Not enough, but closer. Before Mara could answer, a sharp alarm sounded from the east wing. Once, twice, then a third time. Every person who worked in the Valenti estate knew that sound. It was not a fire alarm. It was the vault corridor. Luca was moving before the last note died. His security chief met him at the ballroom doors. "The inner vault has been opened," the man said. "By whom?" Luca asked. "We don't know yet." Mara felt the air change. Celeste stopped laughing. The color drained from the wedding planner's face. And somewhere beneath the noise, Mara heard the tiny, unmistakable click of a service key being turned in the wrong lock. She looked toward the east corridor. Then she looked at Celeste. The bride's hand had gone to her throat. Not to the diamond there, to the empty space just below it. Mara knew what had been kept in the inner vault that morning. The Valenti emerald brooch. The one object nobody touched without her written record. And Mara had not written one. The east corridor had been closed to guests for 20 years. That was why Mara noticed the first mistake before anyone else did. The security chief, Rafe Morano, was ordering 2 guards toward the vault with the impatience of a man who believed speed could replace knowledge. "Not that door," Mara said. Rafe turned. He was broad-shouldered, gray at the temples, and loyal to Luca in the way a locked gate was loyal to its key. "The east door is faster." "It is faster if you want the corridor alarm to seal behind you," Mara said. "And if it seals, the ventilation system flags every person already inside as an intruder." Rafe paused. Luca looked at her. "Which door?" he asked. Mara pointed to the narrow service passage behind the linen room. "The old pantry door. It opens into the outer corridor. No alarm, no cameras. The vault logs it as staff access." Rafe's expression made it clear that he did not like taking direction from a housekeeper. But Luca said, "Do it." That single sentence was not respect. It was reliance. Mara knew the difference. They moved through the back of the house, past shelves of folded linens and brass carts that had been polished until they reflected the ceiling lights. "Who knew the brooch was being moved today?" Luca asked. "3 people had full access," Mara said. "You, Mrs. Valenti, and me." Celeste? She knew it would be displayed in the engagement signing. She did not have a vault key. Neither did the wedding planner. Luca glanced at her. "Could someone have copied your key?" "They could copy the metal. They could not copy the sequence." At the pantry door, she stopped. A strip of white ribbon lay caught beneath the hinge. It was too clean to belong on a service floor. Luca bent toward it. "Wedding ribbon," he said. "Not from the ballroom," Mara answered. "The ballroom ribbon is cream. This is from the bridal suite arrangements." Rafe reached for it. Mara caught his wrist before he could touch it. "Leave it." His eyes narrowed. "You giving orders now?" "I am preventing you from destroying the one thing that tells us who came through here." Luca watched her hand drop away. Then he said, "Nobody touches it." Rafe stepped back. Mara crouched beside the door, careful not to disturb the ribbon. She saw the faint line of floral dust on the brass threshold. Not pollen. Pressed rose powder. The bridal team used it on the train of Celeste's gown so the fabric would not cling to the marble. It had no reason to be in the east corridor, unless someone wearing something from the bridal suite had passed through it. The display drawer where the emerald brooch had rested stood open. The velvet lining was empty. Luca did not curse. His silence became sharper instead. Rafe checked the security panel. "No breach on the inner lock," he said. "No forced entry. No signal override. The drawer was opened with authorized access." Mara looked at the ledger stand near the wall. It was empty too. Her house ledger should have been there, secured in a locked brass case. Her breath stopped for half a second. Then she crossed the room. The case was still locked. The ledger was not inside. Luca saw her face change. "What is missing?" "My book." "Your household book?" Rafe asked. "The custody ledger," Mara said. "It records every object that leaves a secured room, who receives it, and when it returns." Rafe gave a short, humorless breath. "So someone took a brooch and a notebook." "No," Mara said. "Someone took the one document that can tell us how the brooch left." Luca came closer. "Could you have moved it?" The question landed exactly where Celeste had aimed her champagne. "I could have," she said. "I also could have left the house an hour ago with a job waiting in Boston. I stayed because your mother needed her medicine, and your staff needed the person who knew where the day was coming apart." Luca's face changed. Rafe looked between them. "Mara," Luca said. "Lower now. I am not accusing you. You are asking whether I am capable of it. That is not the same thing." The corridor alarm clicked behind them. A guard entered, carrying a black garment bag. "We found this in the laundry collection," he said. "Inside the service van." Rafe opened the bag. The Valenti emerald brooch lay on a folded white towel. For one beat, no one spoke. Then the guard pulled out a second item. Mara's Navy spare uniform. The name label inside the collar was unmistakable. Rafe's hand went to the radio at his shoulder. "Secure Mrs. Bell's rooms." "No," Luca said. Rafe turned. The brooch was found with her uniform. "And the uniform was in a laundry van that half the household can access," Luca replied. His voice had gone cold. "No one searches her room without her consent." Rafe's mouth tightened. "Then what do you want done?" Luca looked at Mara. "What do you need?" The question was new. Mara let it sit between them. Then she stepped closer to the garment bag. The towel was hotel-quality linen, not Valenti linen. Its edge bore a tiny stitched mark. Harrow Arden, Celeste's family hotel group. Mara did not touch it. She studied the folds. The brooch was positioned too carefully in the center. A thief would hide it under towels. A person setting a trap would make sure it was found. This was planted, she said. Rafe folded his arms. Convenient. It is clumsy, Mara corrected. Whoever did it wanted the answer to be obvious before anyone asked a real question. Luca's eyes stayed on the towel. What real question? Who had access to the laundry collection after the bridal suite was prepared? Who knew I keep a spare uniform in the west closet? And who knew the house ledger was in the vault? Rafe said nothing. He was beginning to see the shape of the problem. Luca's phone rang. He answered it, listened, then closed his eyes for a moment. The family council is moving the signing forward, he said. 30 minutes. Rafe swore under his breath. Mara looked toward the ballroom, where the wedding lights glowed behind closed doors. If the council signs before we know the chain of custody, she said, the brooch will not be the only thing you lose. Luca studied her. Can you prove that? Mara looked at the empty brass ledger case, then at the towel with the Arden mark. I can prove someone wanted me blamed, she said. But first, I need permission to walk through your house without being treated like the problem. Luca held her gaze. For the first time that night, he did not answer quickly. Then he took the security pass from Rafe's hand and placed it in Mara's palm. Every door, he said. Every camera, every record. You tell us where to look. Mara closed her fingers around it. Before I start, she said, I need 3 things. Rafe looked offended before Luca could answer. Mara ignored him. First, no one touches the towel, the uniform, or the ribbon until I say they are documented. Second, no one questions the staff alone. Celeste has spent all day teaching people to fear the wrong person. I will not have anyone bullied into giving you the answer she wants. Third, when this is over, whether I prove anything or not, I leave this house by my own decision. The corridor went still. You have all 3, he said. Put it in writing, Mara replied. Rafe gave a disbelieving laugh. Now? Yes, Mara said. Truth survives pressure better when people stop pretending they never made promises. Luca took a small notebook from the inside pocket of his jacket. He wrote without argument. Only then did she look at Rafe. Bring me the camera log for the West Laundry entrance, not the edited security feed, the raw timestamp report. Rafe's eyes narrowed. Why the raw report? Because edited footage tells you what someone wanted to show. A timestamp tells you what happened before they had time to make it pretty. Luca said, Get it. They began with the bridal suite. The makeup table had been wiped clean. The champagne flutes were lined in a neat row. The carpet had no loose pins or scattered petals. But one garment rack was angled slightly away from the wall. Mara stopped beside it. Who moved this? She asked the assistant stylist waiting near the door. She turned to Luca. May I speak with her alone? The door stays open. Rafe can stand outside. Luca nodded. Rafe hesitated, then stepped into the hall. The stylist's name was Hannah. She was 23, pale, and trying very hard not to cry. Mara sat in the chair beside the mirror rather than standing over her. Did Celeste ask you to move the garment rack? Hannah shook her head. Did someone else? A long pause. Then Hannah whispered, Mr. Vale. Mara knew the name. Gavin Vale was Celeste's cousin, and the man handling the Arden family's financial arrangements for the wedding. He had spent the morning walking through the estate with a phone pressed to his ear and a smile too smooth to be trusted. What did he take? Mara asked. He didn't take anything, Hannah said quickly. He brought a box. He said it was for the bridal suite. He told me to move the rack so he could set it behind it. What kind of box? Black. Small. like a jewelry box, but heavier. Mara glanced at the space behind the rack. "Hannah," Mara said, "did you see where Mr. Vale went after that?" "He used the service stairs. He said the main hall was too crowded." "Did Celeste know?" Hannah looked down. "I heard her tell him that no one listens to house staff. She said they only notice us when something breaks." Mara felt no surprise, only a quiet, old anger settling into a shape she could use. "Thank you," she said. "You have done nothing wrong." When Mara stepped back into the hall, Luca was waiting. His expression changed when he saw her face. "What did she say?" "Not enough to accuse anyone," Mara replied, "but enough to stop treating this as a simple theft." Rafe returned with a tablet and a printed log. "The West Laundry camera was disabled for 6 minutes," he said. "Power fluctuation?" Luca asked. "Scheduled maintenance," Rafe answered. Mara took the paper. The heading showed the outage had been approved at 3:12 that afternoon. The report contained a small detail that no one else noticed. The maintenance request was signed by Monsieur Bell, not Mara Bell. Monsieur Bell. Mara never signed that way. She traced the printed initials with one finger. "This is forged," she said. Rafe leaned closer. "You can tell that from initials?" "I can tell because my name is the first thing I write every morning. I know how I write it." Luca took the page. "Who could submit a maintenance request under your account?" "Anyone who had access to the estate service desk," Mara said, "or anyone who knew the clerk would approve it without looking twice." They found Nina in the basement office, sitting beside a wall of labeled keys. She was shaking before they even entered. Rafe started with his usual hard voice. "Who told you to approve the maintenance blackout?" Nina's mouth opened. No sound came out. Mara stepped between them. "Rafe, wait outside." He looked to Luca. Luca's answer came without hesitation. "Outside." Rafe left. Nina pressed both hands flat on the desk. "I thought it was a wedding request," she said. "He had the family seal." "Gavin Vale?" Mara asked. Nina nodded. "He said Miss Arden wanted privacy before the ceremony. He said she had already cleared it with Mr. Valenti." "Did he show you anything?" "A card, a gold card with the Arden crest, and an email on his phone." "Did you read the email?" "He scrolled past it too fast." Mara looked at the keyboard. One hook was empty. Not a vault key. A service master key for the linen lift. The lift connected the bridal floor, the laundry hall, and the east pantry corridor. It was too narrow for guests. It was perfect for moving one small box unseen. "When did you last see that key?" Mara asked. Nina stared at the empty hook. "Before the fitting," she whispered. "Mr. Vale said he needed it because the florist had a delivery." Luca's eyes went to Mara. The pieces were beginning to line up. Not a clean picture yet, but a path. Celeste's cousin had access. The bridal suite had a hidden box. The laundry camera had been blacked out under Mara's forged initials, and the linen lift tied every location together. Rafe came back into the room with his phone buzzing. "The council has arrived," he said. 20 minutes. Luca looked at Mara. "We can stop the signing." "No," Mara said. "Not yet." He frowned. "If you stop it now, Celeste will say you are acting on suspicion. Her family will say the brooch was found with my uniform, and every person she has frightened will decide silence is safer." "So what do you want to do?" Mara looked down at the empty key hook. Then she pictured the house ledger, missing from the vault, somewhere inside a house full of flowers and lies. "I want to find my book," she said, "because whoever has it still believes it can be made to tell their story." Luca's voice lowered. "And if they destroy it?" Mara met his eyes. "Then they will have to do it before I find them." Mara did not go to the ballroom. That was exactly where Celeste expected everyone to go. Instead, she took the service lift down one floor and followed the route no guest would ever notice. Mara stepped inside with Luca behind her, and Rafe standing close to the control panel. "Where does it stop?" Luca asked. "Laundry hall, bridal floor, east pantry." "Then the old flower room behind the ballroom," Mara said. "The flower room has been unused for years." "By guests," Mara corrected. "It is still used when deliveries need to stay out of sight." The lift jerked upward. At the pantry door, she stopped. A strip of white ribbon lay caught beneath the hinge. It was too clean to belong on a service floor. Luca bent toward it. "Wedding ribbon," he said. "Not from the ballroom," Mara answered. "The ballroom ribbon is cream. This is from the bridal suite arrangements." The lift opened on the bridal floor. Mara opened the lower cabinet. A cardboard flower box sat inside, marked with the name of the florist who had delivered the white roses. The tape around it was new. Too new. Rafe moved first. Mara lifted one hand. "Photograph it." He stopped, then took out his phone. Luca took a picture of the label, the tape, and the corners of the box. Mara waited until he was done. Then she peeled the tape back slowly. Inside were not flowers. There were folded table linens, a black satin shawl, and a small leather-bound book. Her house ledger. For a moment, Mara did not reach for it. Now the book sat inside a florist's box beside a shawl that smelled like Celeste's perfume. Luca saw it too. His face went still. "Can you tell if it was altered?" he asked. "Not until I look," Mara said. She put on a pair of thin cotton gloves from the utility shelf. Then she lifted the ledger free. She turned to the page where the emerald brooch should have been recorded. There was an entry. It said the brooch had been transferred at 3:16 p.m. to Mara Bell for cleaning and presentation. Below it was a signature that looked almost like hers. Almost. Rafe leaned over her shoulder. "That is your name." "No," Mara said. "That is someone's idea of my name." She placed the ledger on top of the closed flower box. Every genuine entry she had written had a small green mark beside the time. Not a flourish, not a secret code. A simple mark from the ink pen she used to show that she had physically held the item in question. The forged entry had green ink too, but it sat above the signature instead of beside the time. A person copying the page would see the color. Only someone who had carried the object would understand the placement. "The entry is false," Mara said. "Whoever wrote this knew about the mark, but not why I use it." Luca looked from the book to the shawl. "And the shawl?" Mara lifted it by the edge. A tiny gold thread was caught in the fringe. Not from the shawl, from the embroidery on Celeste's bridal robe. The same robe she had been wearing when she ordered Mara to the floor. "There is no evidence here that puts the brooch in Celeste's hand," Rafe said. "Not yet," Mara answered. "But it puts her belongings in the same box as a forged record and the stolen ledger. That is enough to ask a question in front of people she cannot silence." Luca's phone vibrated again. He read the message and said nothing. Mara waited. "The signing has begun," he said at last. Rafe swore. "We are out of time." "No," Mara said. "Celeste is out of places to hide." The ballroom doors were open. The moment Celeste saw Mara, her smile held. Then it cracked at the edges. "You should not be here," Celeste said. Mara looked at the council table. "I work here," she replied. Celeste laughed softly. "Not for much longer. Luca, surely you are not letting your housekeeper interrupt your family's business." Luca walked to Mara's side. He did not touch her. He did not speak for her. But the room noticed where he stood. "Mrs. Bell has information about the brooch," he said. Celeste's gaze sharpened. "I thought the brooch was found with her uniform." "It was found in a laundry van with a towel from your family hotel," Mara said. Gavin stepped forward. "This is absurd," he said. "You are accusing my cousin based on laundry?" "I'm not accusing anyone based on laundry," Mara said. "I am asking why a house ledger was hidden in a floral box beside Miss Arden's shawl." A whisper ran down the council table. Celeste turned to Luca. "Are you allowing this?" Luca's voice was even. "I am allowing her to finish." Mara opened the ledger to the forged entry. She did not hold it up like a weapon. She placed it on the council table where everyone could see. "This entry says I took the emerald brooch at 3:16, she said. "I did not. And the proof is not my word. It is the green mark." One of the older council members leaned forward. "What mark?" Mara pointed beside the times recorded on earlier pages. "Whenever I take physical custody of a protected item, I make a green mark beside the time. Not beside my signature. Beside the time. That tells the next person where the chain of custody began." She turned the page back to the false entry. The person who forged this copied the color, but put it in the wrong place. They copied the appearance. They did not understand the work. Gavin's face lost color. Celeste's hand tightened around her folder. Then she smiled again. It was a different smile now. A dangerous one. "You have a very clever little theory," she said. "But a mark on a page is not enough to shame my family in front of these people." "No," Mara said. "It is not." She closed the ledger. "It is enough to tell us where to look next." Celeste's eyes flickered, only once. But Mara saw it. Toward the white rose arrangement at the end of the council table, the arrangement that had been delivered after the florist left. The arrangement no one had checked. Mara turned to Rafe. "Do not touch the roses," she said. "Look beneath the base." Rafe moved around the table. Celeste stepped forward. "That is my wedding centerpiece. It is also on a house ledger that lists no delivery time," Mara replied. Rafe lifted the marble base just enough to see beneath it. A thin black envelope had been taped there. He looked at Luca. "Permission?" Luca looked at Mara. She nodded once. Rafe removed the envelope. Inside was a folded bank document bearing the Arden family seal. Gavin reached for it. 2 guards caught his arms before he got close. The ballroom went quiet enough for Mara to hear the paper unfold. Luca read the first page. His jaw tightened. Then he looked at Celeste. "What is this?" Celeste's eyes went hard. "A private financial matter." "It uses the Valenti emerald brooch as collateral," Luca said, "and it is dated yesterday." Nobody moved. Mara understood then that the theft had never been about a jewel. It had been about a vote. And Celeste had been willing to bury Mara beneath the floor of her own wedding to get it. Luca placed the document flat on the table. "Explain the collateral clause," he said. "No," Mara said. Every face turned toward her. Celeste's eyes flashed. "This does not concern you." "It concerns me because you tried to make me pay for it," Mara said. "It concerns this house because you used its staff, its keys, and its records. And it concerns this family because you thought a wedding gave you permission to borrow what was not yours." Celeste gave a brittle laugh. "You are a housekeeper. You clean up after people like us. Do not confuse a ledger with a place at this table." Mara looked at the long council table, then at the damp champagne stain still darkening one sleeve of her uniform. "You are right about one thing," she said. "I do clean up after people. That is why I know the difference between an accident and a mess someone creates on purpose." Gavin finally found his voice. "Celeste did not write that entry. I did." Celeste turned on him. "Be quiet." He looked at the guards holding his arms, then at the council watching him. "She told me to make it look like staff error," he said. "She said Luca would protect the housekeeper if he had to, but he would not delay the vote for her. She said no one cared what happened to the help." Celeste's face went pale. he is lying to save himself. Maybe, Mara said. But the ledger does not lie. The towel does not lie. And neither does the forged maintenance request, signed with a name I do not use. Rafe placed the raw timestamp report beside the ledger. For the first time, he did it without being told. The council member at the end of the table picked up the bank document. This agreement names the Arden family as a contingent beneficiary of the Valenti Trust, he said. If the brooch was accepted as collateral before the engagement signing, they intended to claim influence over the vote. Luca looked at Celeste, not with rage, with the kind of disappointment that did not need theater. You did not want a marriage, he said. You wanted an entry point. Celeste reached for the leather folder on the table. Rafe stepped in front of it. There is nothing left for you to sign, he said. Luca did not raise his voice. Rafe, contact our legal counsel. Freeze every transaction tied to the Arden agreement. The engagement is over. Gavin and Celeste will answer every question through counsel, not through my staff. Celeste stared at him. You cannot end this in front of everyone. I should have ended it the moment you asked Mara to kneel, Luca said. The ballroom held its breath. He turned to Mara. I did not stop you from being humiliated. Then I asked you to save a system that had treated you as invisible. I was wrong twice. I am sorry. There was no excuse in his voice, no promise to punish Celeste harder, no demand that his apology be enough. Mara believed apologies only after she saw what they changed. She looked at the council. The house needs to change, she said. If you want me to continue helping tonight, these are my conditions. Luca nodded once. Name them. First, Nina keeps her job while the legal review determines what she knew and what she was pressured to do. Second, no staff member is questioned without a written record and a witness. Third, the custody ledger becomes part of every asset review, and the person responsible for it has the authority to pause a signing. Fourth, I will not report to a family member who can overrule me in private. An uncle at the table frowned. You are asking for a great deal. I'm describing the cost of competence, Mara replied. Luca faced the council. Mrs. Bell will become Director of Estate Security and Operations. She will hold independent authority over access logs, staff protections, asset custody, and emergency holds. Her signature will be required before any protected asset is moved or any trust vote is called. The uncle looked ready to object. Luca raised one hand. This is not a favor. It is a correction. Mara watched him. Then she said, Add one more condition. Luca waited. I retain the right to leave. No penalty. No debt. No threats. No private pressure. You have it, he said. And I will put that in writing too. The council voted to suspend the signing. Luca found Mara in the small conservatory off the west terrace. She had changed into a soft gray coat over her uniform. Her suitcase stood by the door. The Boston train left before sunrise. Luca stopped several feet away. I saw the suitcase, he said. Yes. Are you leaving? I have a job offer, a real one. I intend to consider it. He nodded. You should. Mara looked at him then. He was not asking her to stay. That mattered. I will begin the new position here for 30 days, she said. After that, I will decide whether I remain. Not because you need me, because I will decide whether this work is worthy of me. It is, Luca said. But you don't have to take my word for it. He removed his black suit jacket and held it out without stepping closer. The terrace is cold. May I? Mara considered him. Then she nodded. He draped the jacket around her shoulders with careful hands. Nothing about the gesture claimed her. It only asked her to be warm. I do not know what this becomes, Luca said. I know I want the chance to earn your trust. Slowly. In public when it matters. and in private, when no one is watching. Mara looked through the glass at the ballroom where she had been ordered to kneel. Then she looked at the man who had finally learned to stand beside her. "One chance," she said. "Not forever. Not yet." Luca's expression softened. "One chance," he agreed. Mara took the security pass from her pocket and set it in her palm. This time, it did not feel heavy. It felt like a key she had chosen to hold. And as the first pale light touched the Valenti estate, Mara Bell walked back inside on her own terms. If you were Mara, would you take the 30 days and see whether Luca could truly change? Or would you leave for Boston and never look back?